Hello again. Let's look at some more games here. And we are now at the most important tournament of Gukesh life so far. World Championship Candidates Tournament. And as we see here, Gukesh won ahead of Nakamura, Nepomniachtchi and Fabiano Caruana. So 4 players were very good, had a very good run here, and Gukesh came out on top. And it was a really exciting finish for the tournament. We will look at all the games here, but I will save like the finishing games here for the end. So first we're going to look for one in the first round actually. Or maybe I don't know if it's maybe no, it's probably the second round actually. It's probably the second round against Praggnanandhaa. We've seen before in these games a few times. Also a kid from India. I think he's maybe 1 or 2 years older than Gukesh, but also of course very, very, very talented. So he's among us, this new Indian golden generation with Gaisi, Niall Sarin and others. So they are playing Queen's Gambit here, but then Praggnanandhaa changed opening and he placed the Catalan instead. And here, interesting move, Knight C3, he must have prepared that. Most popular moves are Bishop D2 or Knight D2. Bishop D2 is the most popular, and then it's common that they just go back and it becomes the closed Catalan system. But he plays this one. The problem with this one is that it's not so easy to gain back this pawn, so it's a pure gambit now. It's a gambit for white here. Catalan gambit, he cannot win back the pawn. White cannot win back the pawn by force here, but he has as you can see, it's an even game, so white has sufficient compensation here. And here, interestingly, black decides to retreat the bishop, and that's what the computer recommends. It was also possible to play other stuff, for example, play here and go here, or also take. And here it would be very hard for white to win back that pawn. It would be almost impossible. But there is some play here, maybe take here, maybe e4, or maybe knight here. So there would be some compensation for white, of course. So he decides to retreat, and then e4 is logical here, taking the center. Need some kind of compensation for the pawn. So this reminds me a little bit, I think there might be some wasn't there a game again between Nepomniachtchi and Carlsen that was a little bit like this in their World Championship match? This is very interesting or fun position to play. I played Catalan, these kind of structures a few times. It's like interesting structures. So white is doing d5 here. Another possibility is maybe to do something with knight e5 and maybe f4 or something like that. Seeing that plan. Maybe g4, g5, f5, maybe put the rook here, and I don't know, maybe that's just me dreaming. Let's go see what's happened with d5. And here, interestingly, white does not take back, but he plays e5. It's a common tactic in these kind of structures, but computer doesn't like it. Computer thinks this is a bit better. So it's not possible to take here probably, because because of this pin is annoying. Let's see how that works actually. So this is the correct way to play for white, because here you can take here, and either you play like this, and yeah, black is still up a pawn, but it's white has a lot of activity here, so actually white is already winning. Computer already thinks white is winning here. I can't, of course, can't see that, but yeah, the strong bishops are already winning. That's impressive by Stockfish. It looks, to me, it just looks like promising for white, but it's apparently already winning. I guess the problem is that it's hard for black to not lose an exchange here. Lose a rook for a bishop sometime in the future. But instead of taking here, which obviously does not work, there is just play this position. Looks yeah, it actually, the computer thinks it's a bit better for black, but I think this looks quite promising for white. It looks like playable position for white. So let's see what happened in the game. He decided to do that. And the problem now is that he's lost 2 pawns. Like, you can always like, 1 pawn is usually fine. Can often be 1 pawn down if you just got some active pieces. That's often okay. For 2 pawns is a little bit too much, because then the endgames will be lost, and especially here when he can go c5, d4, and just get so many pawns on the queen side. So let's see what Prag's idea was. His idea was apparently to play e6 here, try to create some play here, and Gukesh immediately makes a mistake. He makes f5. That looks it looks a little bit looks a bit unnecessary. Don't really see why that is such a good move. Okay, so if it takes, then his plan was to go here. Yeah, and maybe queen here looks good. And this one he can sack, and then this is apparently good for black. That's interesting. Okay, so he will win back this one probably with some stuff with this one maybe or so. Okay, so why is this exchange like so good for white? Black, I don't really see it. Of course, there is a lot of pawns here. Maybe something like this. Try to defend. Here is cool move also. Like sacking a rook, but he will win something back here, it looks like, because if it takes, then it's a fork. Whatever black does, it's a fork. Okay, so this would have been quite even. This was probably what Pragg hoped for. Okay, but what if he doesn't take? If he just plays some defensive move at once, then yeah. Okay, so it's basically always the same idea. Try to get some play. maybe like this, or just yeah, very complicated position here. So Gukesh did this one. Maybe try to keep the game a little bit more closed. Why didn't he do f6 instead? That looks better. Ah, okay, then white could play like this. Okay, knight arrow looks logical. One moment. Okay, so this looks like an interesting, quite even position. Computer thinks it's even here. Computer likes this move or bishop here. But he doesn't like the played move, this one, which threatens to take here. And he doesn't like it because c5 and then d4, and white has, yeah, this knight will get very passive here, and this pawn chain is just completely dominating. So black should have just walked forward in the center here apparently, but instead he played c6. He probably didn't see that it was so strong just to advance with the pawns. Like those pawns, if they get like to d3 like that, then they are worth a piece. So he did this one, then also looked better. Maybe that didn't work for some reason to block here, so he couldn't do that. Yeah, that was not good apparently, because this. Okay, so it's a little bit easier to understand white compensation now. This pawn is strong, knight can go here, like the computer says sometimes, and the queen quite active here. Black has, of course, his his trump cards here. So yeah, don't really see what knight here threatens. The computer likes this one more, because this is not a problem, because yeah, you can always retreat. It's just not a threat. Okay, so he went here. Also a problem with this one, sometimes black can sack here. Yeah, looks like the computer wants to sack here soon to get rid of this stuff, but this one is logical, pinning the queen. And here he would either want to sack or go here. Yeah, that's he wants to go here to trade, but knight here would help the pawns go down. For some reason the computer is already being desperate and wants to sack here to get rid of the strong pawns. Let's see why they want to play like this. Okay, it's computer says this is a big, there is attacking potential here for white. Okay, so he played here. Yeah, the computer always wants to sack here for some reason, but I guess the players didn't really see this stuff, and then try to trade this knight for this one, and then bishop here and give checkmate. Instead, he tries to go here. Rook a7. Yeah, knight c5 looks more logical, or knights here. Why not here? Looks most logical. Yeah, it's always this kind of a tactic here. Interesting. So this is apparently an equal game here. White is piece and pawn down, but of course he can take here and he will get something back here probably. So the computer often likes to sack on d5. That's interesting, even when black played c6 to defend it. Okay, so the best was here. Okay, let's see what happens. Take. Okay, so if he takes here again, he can he can take here and get play. This time like this. This is in problems. Okay, that doesn't work. He has to take like this. Here. And now here apparently I can't take it because the pin. That's an even game. Very very complex, very tactical game here. I guess Praggnanandhaa is also very good at tactics, so both players kind of want this kind of a game. It's a bit random who will win it. So here you can see that he could get an even game here by sack on d5 or take on f6 first and then take on d5. So here he takes here. This should be even now. So white has sacked a piece, but he has that strong pawn on e6. It's probably worth a piece, at least the computer says it is, because there are some loose pieces. The rook here is loose on a7, so potential for tactics for white. He played down the bishop, also taking on b2 was interesting. Apparently this is best. Okay, and white has perpetual threats on the queen, but black also can also sack his queen, and that I'm sure he would have done that because he likes to sack queens. He likes to sack queens and he likes to win queens. So how is this position? So it is 3 pieces and 1 pawn. But the computer loves the queen. So the computer thinks the queen is much stronger than 9 points often. So I guess even here. So the computer likes white a little bit. Yeah, black's pieces are uncoordinated here, so I guess it's because of that, and the black king is weaker than white's. It's closely that white can do some winning combinations already, but that would have been interesting. So instead he went back to go for the safer move. So there was apparently a draw here. Let's look at that. Last chance for white to take a draw here. Okay, so if he goes here, he can check here and win the rook. So best for black is put here. Go here. And there is many alternatives. You can go here. Let's look at that. Black managed to get the rook here and defend. Very tactical, sharp game here. And it's rook and pawn for 2 pieces. But white has good pressure here, so yeah, so it's pretty even. If he could also try to win the rook instead. Lots of possibilities for black here. This is also apparently quite even here. White has rook for 2 bishops, but he has good nice pieces. And here we can trade a rook for the knight. No, I can trade a bishop for the knight. Okay, so I don't know if Praggnanandhaa missed that one. Probably not, because check, 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 and take the rook. But yeah, maybe that take the rook, but you should always look at the loose pieces. So I probably saw that, but thought that he would try. Probably thought he was better here and wanted to play for a win or something like that. I don't know. Maybe he just thought this was better. They could probably not understand that it was equal to play like the other way. I doubt they could understand that actually. So black played here. That's the best move. That's impressive that he finds knight d8. It's a non-obvious move. Knight c5 looks more logical. The problem with that is that he can apparently check here and here, threatening mate. So now black could sack or go here or take here. Lots of variations. So if he goes here, he can go here. And again, it's this. This rook a7 was maybe not so good. It looks like it's always tactic against that guy. Guess it's he can threaten go back. I don't know. For some reason, black computer wants to give up a rook here. I don't really understand why. Okay, maybe the queen is trapped. Is it trapped? That's strange. No, it's not trapped. You can go here. So this is strange that this is equal. It looks better for white. White has he's an exchange up. But I guess it must be because bishops are getting a bit strong here. Yeah. Okay, so the bishop compensates here. Here we could do this maneuver here, king h8 and rook g8, that I wonder Liang likes to play. So let's see here what happened instead. Gukesh found the right move, knight d8. That was well done by him. And now the computer likes black. White has just a pawn for the bishop, but the pawn might be able to do e7, and then he has to sack for it, but it doesn't look like it right now. Let's see what happens. Okay, so that's the final mistake. He needed to go here to keep in the game. Something like that. And black would still have to be a bit precise here. Threatening here. And here apparently only move is like this because of the pin. But if black is precise, he should win here, but it was apparently easier now after h5 because of that. Yeah, he lost the e6 pawn. And now let's see what's happened here. Yeah, He goes into pins. Yeah, well, there is just too much attack against. White's king is weaker here, so that's a great start for Gukesh, and it's a good sign that if he's such sharp with his calculation like in this game, that was a good sign for him for this tournament.